And I'll turn the time over to Shelly.
Hi, everyone. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in with me and Michaels to paint some fun holiday watercolor cards. I'm super excited. So a few things, I'm Shelly, also known as Letters by Shells, and I would love to share my entire process when it comes to painting watercolor florals and leaves and including the lettering portion. I know many of you have already entered in the chat room and just shared where you're tuning in from. Please keep sharing where you're tuning in from, because I think it's so amazing that we can do this virtually. And I mean, there's people from just all over. I know that there's some in Denver, Austin, West Virginia. It's so amazing. So I'm based out in California, and I'm just so honored to have you all here with me to paint and just have this moment to relax and just kind of get lost in our own creative process. So a couple of things. I'm Shelly, and my whole business is about spreading love and positivity through art and the art creations that I do. So I do specialize in watercolors and hand lettering as well. But yeah, and I think the fun thing about this class is that we're going to be painting this piece today, which is the fun, colorful watercolor florals and the lettering portion. And the fun thing about this piece is that I actually got to do this piece for the Made by You campaign for the Michaels holiday commercial. So the commercial is now aired on TV and also streaming on Hulu. So if you see the commercial, you might see this piece. So it might look super familiar. But yeah, I'm just so honored to have this time to paint with you all. And thank you so much, Michaels, for this amazing opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of things on my end. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me all a minute. So you can see, you should still be able to see me and also the components that we're going to be using today for the project. And then I'm also going to open up my chat box as well. But yeah, I hope you're all so excited, and please let me know if you have any questions as well. Okay, just have everything ready. So give me all 1 minute. Oh my gosh, I'm reading your comments and just love how everyone's just coming in from all over. So amazing. Okay, so when it comes to painting the watercolor floral piece, so I know that especially when I first started painting, I always had this thought that, oh, there's no way that I can paint this. Oh my gosh, like there's too much going on. So if you are feeling like, if you are having those feelings of like doubt or anything, I definitely want to make sure and just kind of like share my process. So definitely it's possible you can paint it too. And we'll basically be breaking it down step by step. So when it comes to painting a watercolor piece, especially like with ones that have like a floral and wreath, all we're pretty much doing is like step by step. So the first step is to paint the watercolor florals, which I will share that breakdown. And then after this is done drying, then we go ahead and layer it on top of adding the leaves. And after the leaves are done, then we're going to be pairing it with like individual smaller flowers around the entire wreath. And this is just kind of like a good way to kind of balance out, okay, like how can we make it more colorful as well? And then afterwards, this is where we start the lettering portion. So usually with my lettering portion, I kind of sketch everything out with pencil first, because oftentimes I would do this like amazing watercolor piece, and then I would have to write inside. And there's been times where I didn't sketch it out with pencil, and afterwards I was like, I ran out of space. Oh no, I got to start the whole thing over again. So I definitely understand like if that has ever happened to you as well. So we'll definitely I'll go over my step-by-step process on using pencil and sketching out the lettering portion before we go in and add the metallic watercolor inks. Yeah, so those are the kind of like the step-by-step breakdown. So hopefully that seems a little bit more like approachable, and definitely know that you can do it as well. So then when it comes to the supplies, I'm going to be using the watercolor cards and then the gold metallic ink as well, and along with my watercolor palette and my round brushes as well. And if you want, you can have like a glass of water handy for sure. But if you also want like a napkin, definitely just have that ready. If like, let's say you grab too much water and you need to kind of like tap off the excess water on the paintbrush. Yeah, any questions so far with any of the stuff? I'm like reading the comments, make sure that things good. So the, I don't know if there's a way, Maddie, could we like link all these supplies as well that we're using? This one that I'm using, they're both by Daler-Rowney, the Daler-Rowney like travel kit watercolor set. And this is also like their gold ink as well. And then the paper size that we're going to be using, it's like the Strathmore watercolor cards. It's like the 5x7 cards. Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely drop the URLs, the different supplies that were listed on the class page as to what supplies you're using right now into the chat.
Okay, awesome. Only if it's okay. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and do the breakdown of the individual roses first. And then we'll go ahead and start talking about painting the leaves and then things like that. So I'm going to get my station ready. Let me just grab a watercolor paper as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and just get my paintbrush. And so a couple of things, I'm just going to have my paintbrush just like dip it in the water, give it a nice wash. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is, because these paints they're not like already like ready to be used, I have to kind of hydrate them with water first. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a red color and just going to add some water in my pigment as well. And then just kind of like work my paintbrush and hydrate the paints. Yeah. So after we do that, just kind of get a little bit of pigment on your paintbrush. So to paint the individual rows, what we're going to go ahead and do is the center point is going to be the most pigmented, and then we're going to work our way around painting the outer petals with less pigment but with more water. So I'm going to paint C-shaped curves for the center point of the rose. So I'm going to hold my paintbrush however it's comfortable for me. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this upper end right here and just kind of paint like a C curve like that. So I'm using the tip of the paintbrush, but also like the belly of the paintbrush as well by applying more pressure. And then another C curve down here. And then another one just kind of like up here. Like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. And then this is when I dip my paintbrush in the water to kind of rinse off the pigment a little bit, tap off the excess water. And then now we're going to paint bigger C curves around that center point mark. And I'm basically going to kind of like kiss a little bit and like touch the pigmented areas. So that way the pigment can kind of bleed into the bigger C curve I did with just using the water. So you'll see that I'm kind of working my way around, and this time I'm using more of the belly of the paintbrush. And the goal is, let's say if you're like center point already dried, then you might not see this like effect, and that's totally okay. You can go ahead and like the next time you paint it, just add a little bit more pigment and water. So then I'm kind of just like working my way around the flower. The bigger the rose gets, I'm basically making sure that I'm using more water, and it should kind of give like a softer look.
Shelly, can you tell us what size of brush you're using?
Oh yeah, of course. It's the round size 4.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can also use like a size 6 brush as well, but yeah, any round size will do. But I like using the 4 brush. So then basically I'm going back and just adding more pigment, just kind of like around the areas and things like that. So you'll see that again, like it's more pigmented in the center point, and it kind of gets like softer as it goes out. Yeah. So I think we have some time. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more, and that way, and I mean, like the way that I paint it, it's not going to like look identical every time I do it. So then you'll see that maybe the second time I paint it, it might look a little bit different, and that's totally okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my pigmented center point areas first. Yeah. And then get more water and just kind of go around that center point mark. Okay. Just kind of working my way around that rose. And if you need to like turn your paper around, that's definitely, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more water on this end because it's a little bit pigmented. Yeah. So the thing about painting a rose, I feel like you can just paint more petals. Just it keeps like, you can just keep painting like additional petals all around. So after a while, I have to tell myself to kind of just like stop and just step away and it looks fine. So just in case if you are having that moment where you're painting that rose, like there's times where I'll paint the rose and it's like, I'm already like going like off the page already. It's like, okay, I need to stop now. But yeah, so that's basically the breakdown of the individual rows. So I hope that was kind of like helpful to see before we start doing the final piece. So the other thing I want to go ahead and showcase is this. I'm going to paint the leaf. So when I paint the leaf, think of it this way. We're going to use the tip of the paintbrush. So I'm going to paint it right here. I'm going to go ahead and use like the very tip of the paintbrush. So I'm going to start down here and just go ahead and paint a light upstroke like that. And then now using my belly of the paintbrush, I'm going to now start at the tip here and then now apply light pressure and then heavy pressure using the belly of the paintbrush. So we're going to almost create like these like teardrop shapes. So after I do that one shape, I'm going to now go on the other end and just kind of complete and have those 2 points meet. And then after I paint that, then you can go back and add more pigment, or you can basically extend this tip of the leaf as well. And then after we do that, then I'm going to go ahead and work my way down. So you'll see that I'm going to now add like a small stem here. And then now, again, do the same process, almost creating like an almond shaped leaf. So less pressure, heavy pressure, and then connect the bottom half together. So right now, when I'm painting these leaves, I'm kind of adding some negative space in the middle of that leaf. You don't have to, but I think it's cool to have some of the leaves have that negative space and some without. So then now I'm just going to work my way down. I'm going to go ahead and now add that stem again and teardrop shape. And then after I'm done doing that, I actually like turn my paper around, and then I feel like it kind of helps me paint the other side of the leaf. So now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of follow along where I painted. And paint the other side of the leaf. So my thing about painting leaves is that I used to always make sure that like all the leaves were like perfect in like shape and size. But honestly, if you like look at nature, you'll see that the leaves are not always the same size. And I feel like that's like the beauty about painting as well. So you're kind of like in control of how to make those leaves look. So yeah, I think it's like super fun. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there with my leaf. But if you want to go ahead and like add more leaves, you can. With the piece that we're going to be doing, we're going to kind of add definitely more leaves, and I'll kind of like show that breakdown. Awesome. So, oh yay, I'm so happy that the instructions are going good. So awesome. So basically that's a breakdown of the rose and the leaf. So now that we have like a good understanding, let's kind of start with our final piece. And then I'll go ahead and show like the lettering breakdown while that piece is drying. So the color palette that I'm choosing for this piece is it's going to be like this. I might not use all the colors, but for the most part, I wanted to paint the roses using these 3 colors along with the pink color. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these 2, or actually these 3 shades of green for the leaves. And then also this blue and the red was like for the berries. So kind of just like seeing like the breakdown as well. And then, yeah, so have that handy and kind of like take this time to like choose your color palette that you'd like to use for the piece. So the paper that I'm using is a Strathmore watercolor paper. It's like the Strathmore like watercolor cards. It comes in like a set. So now with that, let's go ahead and start painting. So go ahead and just like take some deep breaths with me and just know you can do this. And just take your time and really just have fun with this process. So I'm going to go ahead and paint my first rose in the upper left-hand corner right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of paint another rose next to that and then one underneath. The goal I think for this one is that kind of making sure that we're not making it too big because we still want to add some lettering in the center point right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my red paintbrush, or my red ink, I mean, and then now just start painting. So I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner right here and painting those like C-shaped curves. Okay, I did use a lot of water, so I'm going to go ahead and I don't know if I can tap the excess, but kind of work my way around it. Okay, so let me go ahead and zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. It is like really pigmented, but I'm going to go ahead and try to add more water as I can and make the rose a little bit bigger so I can have like the ink spread a little bit more. Okay, and then painting another stem or petal around that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop with that rose. So you'll see that it kind of like, I made it kind of like look like it's like going off the page a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop with that one before I make it way too big. And then now I'm going to grab my pink pigment and then paint one next to that. So I'm gonna start maybe like up here. So I kind of have to like estimate, okay, like where exactly, like how much spacing do I need to add that rose so that it doesn't touch that one. And then just kind of adding more pigment in the center point and working my way around it. So what happens is that when it starts like touching the other rose, I'm not going to make them touch completely because they're both still wet and the pigments are just kind of going, like they're going to go ahead and bleed into one another. Sometimes I like that effect. It just really just depends like what I'm painting. But for this one, I'm going to try to avoid it. And then it'll almost look like the rose is kind of like lost into like this rose at the top. So oftentimes if you're noticing that the pigment kind of got lost in the center point, you can, as long as it's still wet, kind of like drop in more pigment if you can. It's definitely possible, not too much, but kind of just like a little bit to make it pop a little bit more. So after I'm done painting this rose, I'm gonna go ahead and now paint my yellow rose down here. Okay, and then now we're gonna go ahead and start painting. Oopsies. You'll kind of see that I added some yellow pigment. That's okay. I'm grabbing a drier paintbrush so I can kind of pick up the pigment. I think it looked fine, but I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh. I mixed the colors, not on accident. So now grabbing the yellow pigment, I'm going to now start painting my rose over here on the left-hand side. Start painting my C curves first, making sure that they're really pigmented, and then working my way around it. and just really having fun and really enjoying watching the pigments blend together. I think it's super fun. Okay, so I kind of touched the top part a little bit, and it's like bleeding into the yellow rose, but not too much. So yeah, I think it looks really nice. Has like a nice fun effect. So this is what my rose looks like from a little bit more of a distance. And then as long as like the pigments are still wet, you can kind of like take off the pigment. So I kind of had some like yellow ink on the side right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of read through the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. So just have fun and give me all 1 minute. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Linda, that's a great tip. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and paint our last rose, which is going to be on the bottom right hand corner. So basically I made sure to kind of like work my way around the top first and then now going to the bottom part. So with the bottom rose, I want to kind of have it like a little bit more like orange. It's like a red orange. Okay. So now on the bottom right hand side, I'm going to go ahead and paint those C-shaped curves again. And then now adding more water to my paintbrush and making bigger C shapes around it. And I'm also making this rose kind of go off the page as well. Okay, awesome. So now that I have those roses done, basically the next step is now painting the leaves. So depending on how much water you use, it might take more time to dry. But with this portion, what I'll be doing is that I'm going to be like turning my page around so I don't touch the wet areas. So then after we're done with that, let's go ahead and I'm gonna tilt my paper this way a little bit so that way I can start painting the leaves. So we're going to paint a couple layers of the leaves to make sure that it looks like more full as we paint the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and use one shade of the color green first. And to paint the wreath, I'm actually going to go ahead and do this. So I'm going to start from like over here where like the first rose meets. And then I'm just going to paint like a long straight or like a long like curved line using like light pressure. And then I'm going to paint like some leaves and then I'm going to continue that stem. So I'll go ahead and show kind of like what I mean. I'm going to now paint a light stroke here, kind of like making it go curved. And then I'm going to now use this and paint my individual leaves. And then working my way around. So because the roses are still wet, usually I would recommend like just painting like on top of the roses, but I don't want these colors to mix. So you can use that time to like dry it, but then you can also paint and not really touch the leaves. So what I mean is I'll go ahead and start painting the process, but I'm going to go ahead and not paint the full leaf. So I'll show you when I get closer to one of the roses. So for example, with this one, I'm just going to go ahead and draw the stem like that. And then I'm going to draw like a half leaf and just kind of like stop before it touches that rose. Unless it's dry. Okay, it's a little bit wet though. Yeah. Then actually I'm going to make this into like a half leaf. Yeah. So now after that, I'm going to go ahead and grab another color green and then add a second branch of leaves. So now I'm going to start here now and then basically work my way like kind of like downwards like that, and then start painting another set of leaves, but just using another shade of green. So my leaves are pretty much dry, so I'm going to have them like overlap. The reason why I don't want the leaves to mix with the roses is because I still want them to be like really fun and like bright and colorful. And then the minute the green starts bleeding into it, it'll kind of look a little bit not as like and not as bright. So that's the reason why I'm going to try to avoid them for now. Okay, so I touched one of the roses. It's okay, I don't know if you can see it. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and now work my way down. So now I'm going to use the first shade of green that I used and kind of just paint downwards. And then paint another set of leaves. And kind of just now going to kind of like continue that pattern, now paint using another shade of green and paint another set of leaves. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and review the comments really fast and just make sure I didn't miss a question. Oh, Nancy, I love it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to now tilt my paper around again and now draw the additional set of leaves on the bottom. But you kind of see like how I like work my way around it. And then we're going to go back and make sure that this wreath is a little bit more fuller as well. So I'm going to go ahead and paint another set of leaves here. And you'll notice that the stems that I'm doing, some of them only have like 5 leaves, some of them have more. And it's really just up to you. Like you're the person creating it, so you can add more leaves if you'd like. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and angle my paper one more time. And then now I'm going to go ahead and paint another set of leaves. So after I went ahead and did that, so you'll see that I painted just like the reeds kind of going like at a curve and going downwards. I'm going to go ahead and now paint on the left-hand side that wreath, but I'm going to actually kind of have the leaves going like downwards. So I think the tricky part is that making sure you don't touch this part. So like typically I would just kind of like take a break and make sure that it's dried. But for the class, I want to make sure we finish everything. So I'm going to try really hard not to touch the areas that are wet. Okay. And then now you'll see that I have like a small section here. So it's up to you. You can go ahead and draw or paint like a couple of leaves, like maybe like a stem that has like 1 leaf or 2. So far, this is kind of like our piece. So the flowers are in the upper left-hand corner and bottom right, and then the leaves are kind of surrounding the roses. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of work my way around it. So when I see like watercolor wreaths, I want them to be like more full and just kind of have more like leaves in there. So what you can do is now you'll see like all the negative spaces. So you'll see that like right here, I can add some leaves here or like at the bottom portion. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of just like work my way inside and just kind of paint additional leaves on top of the first set of leaves that I painted. And then kind of just like find little sections where I can paint like more leaves as well. Kind of just like throughout the piece. Okay. So now I kind of just like filled in some of the areas where I liked. And then I'm going to now grab another pigment and just kind of like have some maybe over here. So what you can do, which is like really fun about watercolors, I'm using like the same color green for this one. And I kind of like overlapped it with the first set. I'm just basically using more pigment. So it doesn't look like it's going to blend with the first set of layers that I painted. Okay, so now my one thing to also do when it comes to just kind of like do like with this process, if I wanted to make it look more fuller, what I can do is grab some pigment of the color green and just basically draw some lines throughout this wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and draw like one line here, another line, and just kind of like drawing some lines that will kind of fill in the negative areas. And they're kind of like light pressure strokes. And then I'll go ahead and go back with like another color green and work my way around it as well. Kind of adding more lines. And there's like really like no like way, like no right or wrong way to add that placement. It's just wherever you feel like you want it to like look more fuller as well. So I think, so now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like work my way around and make sure that if I want to add more leaves at this point, definitely do so. Now that my rose dried, I can go ahead and now paint a leaf around it. So you want to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now I think I'm almost done, because then what we're going to be doing next is basically adding some smaller flowers inside of this wreath to make it more like colorful and make the colors pop a little bit more. So I kind of have to stop adding more layers of paint here. Almost done. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and take this step back. And honestly, if you want to add more leaves, you can do so, but then you might feel different. We can add the berries and like the individual like smaller flowers and then kind of see how you feel if you want to add more leaves around it. But I hope you're having a great time just kind of getting escape and like lost in the creative process. Go ahead and make sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay, so now the process is that I'm gonna go ahead and kind of give it some time to dry, and then we'll kind of go back. So what I can do for right now is kind of go over the lettering portion that we're gonna be doing. So honestly, you can write anything inside of this wreath. You can do like your initials, maybe your name. I decided to do like the love and joy. So this is kind of like the format that I'm going to be kind of like following for that process. It is like my hand lettering style that I do. So I'll go ahead and make the first portion of it like script, and then the word and in like all capital letters, and then the word joy in script again as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show my process on writing this. I'm going to start with my letter L first. So L, then my O, then my B, then my E. And then underneath it, just write the word and. And then joy. And then the thing about when it comes to like adding like watercolors with the lettering portion is that for your upstrokes, you're always going to make sure that they're thin lines. And when you do your downstrokes is where we apply like the thick, heavy lines. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of, I'm just going to write the letter L. And then we're going to go back into painting and finishing off the wreath. But just that way you can kind of get an idea. So I'm going to be using the gold pigment here. And getting my paintbrush. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of outline this. I'm going to start with my letter L first.
Shelly, if anyone who's making along doesn't have that gold ink, would it be okay for them to use the other watercolor colors they were using before?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. I like to use like the color black in my palette or like any other like vibrant color. Yeah. Or you can also use like markers. Honestly, you can do anything. That's a great question.
Are you using the same brush you were using before?
Yeah, I am. It's just a cleaner one. So I'm using one for the watercolors. You can still use the same brush. I just picked up the other brush. So you'll see that I did my letter L, and then for the downstrokes, I just made sure that it was a little bit thicker. So when you're using the gold pigments, the thing about it is that I want to make sure that it's like super vibrant. So after I paint my first layer, I will go back and paint like a second layer. So I know it seems kind of like, it seems like the extra step, but I do think that it makes it pop a little bit more. So it's totally up to you, but that's kind of like the process that we're going to be doing for the lettering portion. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now put this to the side, and I think my wreath is dried now. So let's go back to it. Yeah, it's like very close. Okay, so the next step is basically adding the berries. So we're gonna go ahead and start with like painting a first set of berries first, and then we're gonna go back and adding like another color, and then I'll kind of like walk you through that process as well. So let's start with the color red first. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of angle my paper. And then with the berries, all it is just basically like 3 downstrokes that I'm going to be doing, and they might like vary in size. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here and paint this middle stroke here, and then just one around it and like one next to that. So the goal is to have some like negative space to kind of explain that like they're like supposed to be like some petals. And then after I paint one here, I'm going to go ahead and paint one over here. So you'll see that they're just like 3 lines that I'm painting, and you can always go back and make them thicker. So the goal is that when I paint the 3 lines, I'm kind of making sure that the center point at the ends kind of go inwards. Okay, so now working my way around this piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint one over here. So you'll see that I'm kind of like spacing them out a little bit. And then maybe let's go ahead and have one like right here. That. And then now we're going to go ahead and paint one down here. And then kind of having one like right in the middle right here. Okay, so now after I kind of like take a step back, I'll see that there's a good balance of like red from like the top and like towards the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a step back. And then now let's go ahead and grab like the color blue. And again, you can also grab like any colors you'd like. But with the color blue, I'm going to go ahead and start kind of like placing them around the wreath. So kind of like in the middle right here. So I'm going to tap my excess water. I use a lot of water for the first rose. I think it's fine. I'm going to make sure that I use less water for the second set here. Okay, I'm going to paint one right here. But you'll see that it's like my placement's like very random. Like there's no like technique that I'm following, because I want to make sure that it's almost like if you were to like throw like a bunch of like leaves and like roses and like petals, like kind of like where they would kind of land. I'm going to paint one right here. And one on the bottom part right here. I feel like my small roses got like bigger and bigger as I like painted more of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and now do one over here. Okay, so now after I do that, I can take a step back again and see, okay, so now I know the color blue was really pigmented. Once it dries, it will kind of like look more lighter, but I want to balance it out by adding the color yellow throughout the piece as well. So with the color yellow, the yellow flowers might not show up. So what you can do is kind of like go like paint them like all the outer edges of like the leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way around. I'm going to paint one, like paint a few like inside because it kind of can add, like make the wreath a little bit more fuller as well. Let's paint one over here. Then I'm going to now paint one off to the side right here. Okay. And then another one, let's do one down here. And then one right here. So now taking a step back, and I'm just going to draw some like individual like berries. You can choose any color. I'm just going to stick to the color yellow because I want like the piece to pop a little bit more. So the berries, I'm just going to kind of like add some like dots here, just like throughout the wreath. So drawing some dots. Drawing another dot over here. I'm just kind of making them like tiny circles. I'm just kind of now going back and adding it around the wreath where I feel like I want there to be like a little bit more color. Okay. So now just kind of taking a step back, and then what we can do, it's totally optional because then I feel like we already made the wreath a little bit more fuller. But if you want to add some like stems to kind of make sure like those individual like smaller flowers kind of connect to the wreath, you can definitely do so. So I'm just going to go back and kind of just like draw some like light strokes, just kind of like into the wreath to kind of make it look like they're connecting. I don't know if it like, you can see the difference. Okay. And then I'll do some for the berries if they're like on the, if they're not overlapping with the paints. Okay. Okay, so kind of taking that step back and kind of saying, okay, like, I mean, this is up to you now at this point. If you want to add more flowers around the wreath, you can definitely do so. But then I think for right now, I'm just gonna leave it alone. And we can always add it, you know, like after it fully dries as well. So now with the lettering portion, I'm just gonna go ahead and use my pencil to kind of lightly sketch the love and joy. And this is kind of like a good way to kind of like resize and like kind of see where exactly the placement is going to be. So I want to go ahead and make sure that the love is kind of up here, and I'll kind of work my way down. So kind of just like taking your time to sketch this. Start over here. So then I kind of like made it a little bit lower. You can have it overlap like with the flower part here. But then I kind of made sure that it was lower so you can kind of see exactly what I'm writing. But it's not kind of like centered with the wreath. So I hope you all don't mind. So now grabbing my gold pigment, I'm gonna go ahead and start kind of like outlining the word love, then going back and adding my downstrokes as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to make my letter L a little bit bigger. So after I trace it first, then I can kind of go back and add the pressures. Okay. I think it's also really fun if you want to add like sparkly berries as well. You can always use like a gold marker or gold ink and add some like berries that are like sparkly around the wreath. So now I'm going to do my letter E. So love, and I'm going to go back and just kind of add my downstrokes to them. Letter E. And just kind of taking a step back, and we can always add more pigment later. Okay, so let me go ahead and zoom in a bit so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Okay, and then now kind of working my way down, I'm gonna write the word and. So the thing about using this gold ink is that in order to also like make it pop a little bit more after the first layer dries, just add a second layer and you should be able to see it a little bit more. Okay, then my word joy. So you'll see that like, I think after like every letter and dipping back into the pigment and grabbing more pigment. So you'll see that I use my pencil as like a guide, but I didn't really follow it exactly. And that's okay, because after the gold ink dries, I'm gonna go back and erase it. Erase the pencil marks. So now go back and adding my downstrokes. I'm gonna try to grab a little pigment outwards. I kind of added some, kind of touched the Y. You can also like use like a sand eraser to kind of like remove some of the paints as well, if you ever feel like you need to redo it. Or I like to also like use like a white jelly pen and kind of just go back and fix it. Because I don't think I can fix this right now because it's still wet. I'll wait till it dries. Yeah, so kind of taking a step back and seeing, okay, basically now we can go back and add more pigment, or it's totally up to you. Okay, and then oh, awesome. I'm like reading the comments as well. Using a clear envelope will show it off. That's amazing. I love that idea. Oh, awesome. So the question about protecting it, like when it comes to like the watercolors, I mean, I don't usually like do anything. Let's say if this wasn't a card and I made it into like a print, I would put it in like a clear sleeve to kind of protect the paints as well. But other than that, I think for the cards, I think, I don't know what you can do. You can laminate them, but then I feel like you can't like feel the texture of the watercolors. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm trying to fix my letter Y, but I don't think I can fix it right now. But basically kind of just taking a step back, and this is your chance if you want to kind of like fix your lettering, adding more pigment, this is the time to do so. After it dries, I might like make my word "and" a little bit thicker. And this is also a chance where you can kind of see your wreath come together with the lettering. Let's say you can add more leaves around here at the top section, or more individual like smaller flowers, definitely do so. Yeah. Okay, so then I think other than that, any questions so far with anything? I hope y'all had an amazing time painting. I really, really loved just being here with you all. I'm going to read a couple more things.
Shelly, if they want to find you online after this class, where can they find you?
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. So I'm, again, Letters by Shells, and that's where you can find me on Instagram. So just at Letters by Shells. And honestly, if you have done this piece during the class, please like give me a tag, I'll repost it. And then I know Michael would love to see it as well at Michael's stores and Make It with Michael's as well. But I honestly had such an amazing time. Thank you everyone for just being here with me and basically wanting to like learn more about watercolors and painting this fun holiday card. So it's a little bit still wet, but basically this is the overall piece that we did. I don't know if you can kind of see it. It's like so bright, but I know I mentioned a few tips and tricks. If you have additional questions, just feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and we can chat there as well. But yeah, I hope you all had an amazing time. I think I'm done on my end. I wish I could honestly paint all day with you all. I guess, Maddie, is there anything else that you want to add before?
Well, thank you all for coming to class. And as a reminder, it'll be uploaded to our YouTube channel, Michael's Stores, in about 24 hours. Thank you so much for class today, Shelly.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun. And again, yeah, I would love to see your creations. And thank you all for being here and joining. Can't believe there was over like 100 of y'all. So it's so amazing. I guess enjoy the rest of your afternoon or your evening. And just remember to have fun, paint away, and just really enjoy the week. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye.